Hello everyone and welcome to IELTS Hanoi. Today I think I've got a pretty good lesson for you. I'm going to be looking at some questions and trying to give my best answers to some of your problems you might be having with IELTS. Maybe you don't know who I am. Let me take a minute and introduce myself. My name is Patrick O'Grady and I've been teaching English for a long time. I taught in Korea for 3 years. I taught in Saudi Arabia for 5 years, and I've been teaching in Hanoi for about 10 years now. Maybe you don't know about the IELTS. Let me give you a quick description of it. IELTS is the International English Language Testing System, and it tests you on 4 different skills: your listening, your reading, your writing, and your speaking. And today we're going to be looking at speaking and a few questions that you might have. Well, I've been asked many times about these questions, and maybe you've got these same problems, and we'll take a look at it. So let's begin, shall we? The first question I have is, are all parts of the IELTS speaking test equally important? Well, the answer is yes, they're all equally important. I believe that a lot of examiners will make up their mind about your score kind of early in maybe when part 1's finished. A lot of examiners will actually have the score figured out, and they're going through the test to be polite. So that's when I say that, I think it's really important that you focus a lot on your part 1. I think it's really, really important to master those skills with part 1. And if you have a problem with part 1, we do have a whole video series answering 16 different topics that you might come across in part 1, and I highly recommend you go back and take a look at that, either here on Facebook or over on YouTube, where we've got a number of educational videos to help you master part 1. That said, again, they all are weighted equally, okay? I don't want you to think that you'll get more marks on part 1. I'm just saying that specifically the examiners will have their minds made up quite quickly. You also want to avoid short answers in part 1, and actually you want to avoid short answers the whole time in the exam. So make sure you stretch it out a little bit. Now, specifically in part 1, we don't want to go too long. We want to keep our answers maybe 10 or 15 seconds long, 3-4 sentences, and move on to the next question. Part 2. The important thing to remember for part 2 is that you need to power through to the end. It's a very big mistake to finish early in part 2. Now, I'm sure you remember, you've got 1 minute, you're given the question, and you've got 1 minute to mark down your answers and think about and prepare, and then you've got 2 minutes to give your answer. I highly recommend you power through to that 2-minute mark. Don't give up. A lot of students say, it's so difficult, I've got nothing to say. Well, you're having a problem with your transitions, okay? And if you look at your transitions closely, you can talk forever and ever if you like. What do I mean by that? Let's say the examiner asks, tell me about a holiday that you enjoyed. Let's say that's the topic for part 2. You speak for 1 minute, you say, well, I enjoyed doing this, and I enjoyed doing that, and this and that. Well, now we got to think about our transitions, and let's say, maybe we can contrast this. We've said, I've liked this so much, I've enjoyed doing this so much. Maybe we can use a contrast and say, but my mom, she hated that vacation. She had a terrible sunburn, and we keep going on that. So please, please, please power on through to that 2-minute mark, and you're going to be a lot more successful. Now, part 3 is when you will be asked more in-depth questions, and it's a chance to have a little interaction with the examiner. This is where your vocabulary is going to be, you're going to need a time to, excuse me, this is a time where you can show your vocabulary, and it's, and your grammar, okay? And you for sure, this is, well, those are my tips for part 3. Stumbling here a little bit, I don't know. So the next question I have was, will the examiner decide my score in the test or later on? Well, the answer is the examiner will give you, they won't give you the mark, but they will decide on your mark at the end of the test, and they'll be written down, and there it goes from there. The next question I have, does the examiner have a model answer? Meaning, when we've given the question, is there something exactly that the examiner is looking for? No. There's no exact answer. There's no perfect answer for any of these questions. English is kind of wild and crazy. You can say a lot of crazy things and a lot of different things, and it's still very acceptable, and there's nothing wrong with it. So you can go in a lot of different directions. Now, that said, I want to warn you, it's probably a good idea to be polite about your answers, as polite as you can be. Think of yourself as a gentleman or a lady. I'm going to give you a little story. I heard a rumor from an examiner that a student came in and he was asked about a vacation. He talked about a vacation where he went to Thailand and he was with a number of prostitutes. The examiner, although the student speaking was quite fluent and quite good, the examiner did not like this, and he kind of gave him a low score. So be careful about what you're going to talk about, and we're here to get the best score possible, yeah? And I'm sure he had fun in Thailand, but maybe we could find another topic to, another element of the tour that he enjoyed. So anyways, be careful, be careful. The next question I have is, will I get a lower score if I can't think of ideas? The answer to that is, the test is about assessing your language, and it's not so much about testing your ideas. That said, I'm going to repeat myself talking about transitions. Earlier I was talking about transitions with the contrast, and we might also use another kind of transition. For example, someone says, we're talking about a holiday, and maybe we say, to use another transition, well, Uncle Ho says that vacationing is very important for your health. I don't know what Uncle Ho says, but about vacationing, but the idea is we can bring in other elements with these transitions, and it will help your speaking a whole bunch. I've got a couple more questions here, but if you guys out there have any questions, please take some time and make a note down below. And I've got my phone here. We'll take a quick look and try to answer your questions in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go through the last couple of questions here. So, the last question, what are the criteria for the speaking test? Well, there are 4 different criteria, and you will be marked equally on each of them. The first criteria is fluency and coherence. Are you speaking at a steady pace? Are you pausing, thinking? Do you recover well from that? what I was trying to say is, so a little conversation repair. Is it natural? Is it coherent? And does it flow together? That's what we're looking for the first criteria. The second criteria is lexical resources. Lexical resources, and that the first criteria is specific. Sorry, the second criteria is specifically on vocabulary. So, if you're struggling with your vocabulary, there are a number of great apps out there. I highly recommend that you get a hold of one on your smartphone and start building it up. I've heard many Vietnamese students complain, oh, my vocabulary is terrible, but they're not really working at it. And I highly recommend working on one of these apps out there. There's some good stuff for sure. So those, first is fluency and coherence. Second is lexical resources. And I don't know why, I don't understand, but for the third one, they also called it lexical resources. I don't understand it. But it's a little different. It's working with grammar. Can you construct a simple sentence, a compound sentence, and a complex sentence? Does it work or not? And that's what we're looking for. If you're having a problem with grammar, what's the grammarquizzes.com is a fantastic website. I highly recommend it to you. Check it out. The fourth criteria that you will be graded on is pronunciation. And it's obvious, pretty straightforward what pronunciation is. If you do have a problem with pronunciation, English Hanoi does offer a pronunciation course. It's happening in next month, in the middle of the month. I don't know the exact date. I have to get back to you on that. But it's a power weekend course, and we really focus on the key elements for pronunciation that Vietnamese have with problems that Vietnamese have with pronunciation, and we do our best to fix it. So if you find foreigners when you speak Vietnamese to them and they go, huh? If they do that a lot, you probably need some pronunciation help, and that's what we're here to do. So let me take a look here. Do we have any questions? Oh my God. We got 30 people watching. Oh man. Well, and nobody's asking a question. Not to worry. I expect this video to be a long-lasting, it'll be on the internet forever, and we'll, hopefully someone will learn a little something about it. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you're interested in IELTS, give us a shout at the telephone number down below. If you want a pronunciation course, give us another phone call down below. If you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button or hit the like button and share it out with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.